Hi, Andy Black here. I just wanted to do a quick video, I'm looking in the wrong place, damn it, on how to do selfie talking head videos using your phone. And the first tip there is to try to talk to the camera and not to the phone if you're looking at the phone. It'd be much better to actually turn the phone around and be talking to the front facing camera, because that's a much better camera than the selfie one. At the minute, I'm not doing that. I'm talking to the selfie part, and the reason for that is I'm finding it much easier to see what I'm doing and make sure my hands are in the frame and also position myself and other things. But once I've got the hang of that, I'll switch it round and maybe put a mirror on the back so I can then see what's going on. Or I think there's software where I can have my iPhone showing up on an iPad down here, mirroring, and I can see what's going on there and kind of maybe work off the iPad. I haven't figured that stuff out yet. So what I'm doing also is I'm using the rule of thirds. Like when you've got selfie mode on my camera, little iPhone 5 SE, so it's an old phone as well, it has like little lines going on the screen, so like splitting it into thirds this way and thirds that way. And I've positioned my eyes so that I'm on one of the thirds over this side and here. So that kind of makes it a bit more pleasing than standing right in the center sometimes, you know. I'm not an artist, so I don't really know. I'm not artistically inclined. But also what it's doing for me is it's leaving a little space over here so I can put up annotations. I can, in the post editing, I can write some words like bullet points or whatever. So that's another tip, is possibly use the rule of thirds, which you can see on the phone, right? So I've got it, bang, it's just right here. And I've stood at appropriate distance. I could come in closer and still make it work. And yes, you can see how I'm looking at myself, but that would be me looking at you. So you see the difference. So you want to create a video where you're talking to the person who's watching it. Okay, the other thing that I've done is written out some bullet points on a piece of paper. Yeah, some bullet points that I want to go through. I haven't scripted the whole thing. If I script the whole thing, I'm just going to be robotic. I'm going to forget the script and all the rest of it, and I don't care. I'm looking at myself again. It's practice. It is practice. It does come. So the first point, that wasn't my first point, was to not look at yourself on the screen. That was one of my later points, but I immediately did it wrong at the start. If the phone was the other way around, great. That I'd do a much better job. The first piece of advice is to actually want to help somebody with your video. You're creating the video for a purpose, and the purpose is to help someone. If you do that rather than have the goal of I want to create a great video, then you'll just get started. So literally, I'm in a Facebook group where people are doing a few little talking head videos, and I just wanted to give some advice to people. I was going to type it up, and I thought, you know what? I'll do a talking head video where I explain how I'm doing them at the minute, and I'm still getting better at it, and that's my goal. So point one really is to get your goal right, and it's to help somebody. As soon as you do that, you get out your own way, you stop worrying about the lighting and the this and the that and whatnot, and stumbling over your words. Your goal is to help someone. They'll appreciate that, and you just get out your own way and go and do it. Okay, the next one is similar, is to imagine you're talking to somebody. You're not talking to the camera, you're talking to somebody. If you're nervous talking to the phone, then imagine somebody like your brother, your mum, your dad, your sister, your best friend. You're talking to them. I've heard tales of people putting up like a picture of like somebody that they really trust and that they could talk to by the phone. I've heard tales of people putting a teddy bear next to the phone, or someone else like with a bottle of beer next to them, just talking to a buddy who's not here, kind of thing. So do that. Me personally, I don't visualize I'm talking to one person. I visualize I'm talking to a few people. I don't know, that's kind of works better for me. Not like a big crowd where I've got to project massive, but just like a little group. Like I maybe stood up doing a little presentation or something, and people, but they're all attentive and they want to know what I'm talking about, and I'm helping them. So that's kind of how I visualize it, and I've always done that. In my head, I've got a running commentary where I'm talking to lots of people. Maybe I'm a bit strange. Right, so next part was like selfie mode versus front facing. I will figure that out. Once I figure that out, I'll do another video on it. Oh yes, the height of the camera. So I've got a table. I'm going to take a photo of this afterwards. I don't know if I can add it to the end of the video, whatever, but I'm on a table, there's a box, and I've got what's called, I presume it's called a selfie tripod stick. It's just a selfie stick, but it's got a tripod at the base. That's it. Simple. I would take a photo. It's super simple. What else have I got is a blank wall behind me. Okay, I've pulled the blinds up and there's sunlight coming in, making an interesting effect behind me. I've got a light on here to cover this side of, try and fill in this side of the face a little bit more. But the other thing, my main point, the eye level I've got the height of this phone at eye level so that I'm looking straight at it, and maybe slightly above eye level and looking ever so down at me, so that it kind of, you know, gets rid of any double chins or whatnot. It's not a very flattering view to be looking at someone like that, up the nose as well. So it's a bit more, you know, so it's eye level ever so slightly and slightly going down. Audio is super important. You can get away with like just using the inbuilt mic in your phone. Like, we talk to people constantly on our phones like that. But if you can, use your headphones. Just plug it in, put your headphones, tuck it into your shirt so it's not dangling off your ears, and you can talk and you'll get much better quality, because that's what it's for. I'm personally using a lapel mic. You can barely see it, it's here. It's attached with a cable. It can probably just use a cable to the phone because it's not that far away, but I've even got like an extension cable just so I don't worry about pulling the thing over. And these things don't cost much, really they don't, and the sound quality is much better. Lighting wise, I talked about lighting, I don't get too hung up on it. I've got a window there's daylight coming in. Yeah, sure, like the clouds cover, there's going to be things going on, and then I've got a light there. But look, what are we used to? We're used to talking to people in settings where it's not perfect lighting. It's just kind of normal. It kind of makes it more natural. Don't get hung up on it. Honestly, the lighting is less important than the audio. Audio is less important than your message of actually helping people and getting the content right. Another thing that I don't think I need to do, I think I'm okay chatting away on camera and using my hands and all that kind of stuff, is like if you look back on your own video and it's not as animated as other ones that you're used to seeing, then maybe try what's called panto mode, where you just exaggerate things. Go at 120%, not like the whole way through, but just exaggerate a few things and just try it, and then look back on it and you'll realize actually it doesn't look as bad as you thought. You know, so try this panto mode, or I've heard tips of like imagining you're explaining it to like a kid in the back of the audience who's kind of fallen asleep and trying to wake them up a little bit, and you know. So don't do that all the way through. It might be a little bit odd, but there's nothing wrong with just exaggerating things a little bit for the audience. And you'll find that actually you start looking more like, it looks more like a presenter, you know, rather than just someone talking. Okay. And then hands, yeah. I'll wave my hands around a lot naturally. I'm trying to figure out how to get distance right so that you can see my face and get the expressions and whatnot, but you can also see my hands. Now, this is not what, I don't normally bring my hands this high to talk. I'd normally be a bit more like this, and I don't know, maybe that's going to be more natural. But you don't just wave your hands around all the time, and don't, if your natural state, you probably move your hands around when you're talking. Try and be more natural. It's going to be tricky because you're suddenly going to think of them and you're like, oh, what do I do with my hands? But what you're trying to do is emphasize points and like things in the past and things in the future, and we really need to try this, and try and emphasize things. If you're doing it all the time, it doesn't emphasize anything. So, but I know I use my hands a lot. Maybe I overdo it, I don't know. Don't really care. I'm just going to go for it. Anyway, hope those tips help. I will get a picture of this little setup so you realize how bleeding simple it is. What else has happened? I've just moved back a bit. I'm still the rule of thirds. Further back, I don't know what's happening with lighting. I'm trying not to get too many shadows behind me, but then again, I don't really care. I'm just talking to you. What's the big deal? All right, hope that helps.